Hi, I'm Colby King from 330 Ministries, and I'm going to teach you what we call the ball trick. Now, this is one of my favorite illusions of all time, and you simply go up to people. You can go one-on-one. This can be done in a crowd. People can be all around you. Small groups, great for small groups, can even be done on stage in front of people as well. And so you start with 3 red balls just lined up, and then you grab your pin out of your pocket. You grab the middle ball, and I usually like the middle ball, but really it doesn't matter which one. I grab the middle ball, and then I take it, and I have a volunteer, and I put that middle ball inside their hand. Now at this point, the illusion has already started. Now you've seen how it works, because what will happen is I'll take one ball, put it in my hand, they'll open their hand, and they'll have 2 balls right there. So there's 2 parts to the illusion. The first part is how does the ball get in their hand, and the second part is how does the ball get out of your hand. Well, I'm going to teach all of that to you. Well, first of all, let me answer the big question, where does the 4th ball come from? Well, the 4th ball is actually in the illusion the entire time. When you come up and you set out 3 balls like this right here, the 4th ball's in your pocket with your pin. So when I reach in my pocket and I grab my pin, see, the pin is just the distraction. So I've got the pin in my hand, but I'm hiding that ball right there. See, I've got it hidden right there. So anytime I have the pin in my hand, the reason it's there is because this looks a little bit awkward. And so it's to hide the fact that I'm holding a ball. So I take this ball and I take this ball and I put it in my volunteer's hand. Now when I put this in their hand, I'm also giving them the second ball as well. Now when you put it in their hand, what you want to do is you want to take the 2 balls, squish them together, and then give it a little bit of a roll, and then make sure they close their hand. And a lot of times I'll put my hand on theirs and I'll say, okay, close it just a little bit tighter. And that's my way of saying keep that hand closed, but you don't want to say, hey, keep that hand closed, because that gives away maybe I'm hiding something in there already. So they're sitting there and their hands like that, they're looking down, there's 2 balls left. Well, so I take the ball, the other ball, and I'm going to put it in my hand. Now I'm pretending to put it in my hand, and so simply what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it, but it never goes in that hand. Okay, now where's the ball right now? Now I did that kind of slow. You may have seen it. The ball's not here. The ball's back over here. Remember, every time that I'm holding this pin, every time I'm holding it, I'm hiding what? Well, I'm hiding a ball right there. And so I take the ball, and there's 2 ways to do it. One is you can do kind of a pick like that right there, and a pick, let me do it a little slower, it's where you just put it in and just pull it back out. Now, to me, sometimes the pick looks a little bit obvious because you're going so fast. So what I like to do is I like to roll my fingers around it. And so when I take my hand, I put it in, roll my fingers. Now, you've got to practice to make sure you close that hand right there. And so let's see that again. Okay, you take the ball right there and just kind of roll through and touch this. Now, once the ball's in their hand, you can do whatever you want, because you know your ball's here, this hand's empty, and they've got 2 in their hand. And so you can touch your hand, touch their hand, say 1, 2, 3. You can blow like that right there to show there's nothing in your hand. You know, you can do all of those things, and then tell them, okay, open your hand. And a lot of times I'll set my pin down, and I'll say, okay, open your hand. And when they open their hand, there are those 2 balls. And as soon as they open their hand and they've got the 2 balls, now remember, that other ball's hidden in my hand right here. They open their hand, they have 2 balls. I grab it out of their hand, and I say, you've got both. Then I take those 2 balls, and I usually go to a different volunteer. Because if you use the same person over and over, and you can do that, sometimes they begin to catch on because of how it feels when it goes in their hand. So I'll go one person, then I'll move to a different volunteer. Okay, open your hand. I'm going to give you both of these balls. Now what am I doing right now? I'm giving them both the balls, but how many balls are there really there? All 3 balls. Remember, they had 2 and I had 1, and I've been hiding it right here in my hand. And so when they opened their hand, I said, oh, you've got both. I took it out of their hand. Remember, number 3's right there. So I take those 2 balls, I put it in someone else's hand. Now, same thing. I take them, I squeeze them together like that, and then I roll it into their hand, close their hand. Okay, now keep that hand closed real tight. Now I'm going to take this ball right here, and you do the same thing again. It's the same pattern. You take it, you make it disappear, you can shake it, touch 1, 2, 3, show it's not there, have them open their hand. Look, you've got all 3 balls. Then you take all 3 balls and you put it in someone else's hand. Now, when you give them all 3, remember, you're giving them all 4. And so you take all 4 balls. They think they have 3, but you know they've got 4. And then you can do whatever you want. Now, a lot of times this is what I'll do. They've got all 4 in their hand, and I'll say, okay, now you've got all 3 balls. So watch real close. I'm going to draw an imaginary ball right here. and I'm going to close my hand. Now, you know that's just pretend. But when I say 4, I'm going to throw this imaginary ball into your hand, and you might feel something. And so on the count of 4, if you're going to feel anything, it's going to be when I say 4. And so here we go. 1, 2, 3, okay, here it comes, 4. And a lot of times I'll do my hands like that, right over and under their hand, and all of that is distraction. Sometimes when I'm counting, I'll spin my pen, I'll go 1, 2, 3, okay, here it comes, 4, and all of that is just to point them in the wrong direction. They've got 4 balls the whole time, and I can do whatever I want to do. I just don't want to be obvious about the fact that they already have all 4 balls. And then a lot of times I'll joke with them because they want you to do it again. Now, if I'm street witnessing or I don't know where someone stands with the Lord, or I'm trying to create an opportunity to witness, when they say, okay, do that again, then the first thing I'll do is, okay, I'll do it again, but first, let me tell you about the greatest thing that ever happened to me. And so I get a chance to share my testimony with them. Now, a lot of times while I'm doing that, I'll take the pen, I'll put it back in my pocket. Now, and then I start rolling the balls like this in my hand while I'm talking to them. Now, my purpose is I want them to hear the gospel. That's always my purpose. And this is a great way with adults, with children. I've done it in Mexico, on the streets of Venezuela, with Buddhist monks in Cambodia, and they all responded the same. Oh, do that again. How did that happen? And so it's an incredible way to open the door to share about how Jesus saved you, and for the purpose of finding out where they stand with the Lord. You know, because of this, I know I'm going to heaven because I gave my life to Jesus. Now, how about you? And then listen to their story. Engage them in a conversation about Christ. And of course, if you're doing it on stage, there's lots of ways that you can tie this in spiritually, whether it's through, tying into the idea of being impossible. Well, nothing's impossible for God. You know, it's impossible for me to get myself into heaven, but that's why God sent Jesus, to make a way. And so all sorts of ways that you can use the red balls. I've seen people use the color red to say, let me tell you what the red stands for. And they talk about how Jesus died and rose again. And but while you're doing that, it's real easy. You just reset it. You rub those balls in your hand, put one back in your pocket. Simple as that. You're ready to go again. Sometimes when I've been doing the illusion, if you do it several times back to back, very observant spectators, they'll start to catch on what you're doing. So a lot of times it's good to do it once, switch to another illusion, or maybe do it twice, a little talk in between, and that way it's not the same thing over and over. But sometimes I'll tell them, I'll say, okay, now instead of doing the trick again, I'm going to make them disappear. And so now you got to watch real close. Okay, so here we go. On the count of 3, I'm even going to make the ball disappear right here. Okay, on the count of 3, here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3, and then I'll simply stick them in my pocket like that real fast and do my hands, and they're gone. And it's just a lot of fun, just to have fun, to be fun and to be funny, kind of like that right there. But lots of ways that you can use the ball trick to open the opportunity to tell people about Jesus. Now, just in review real quick, there are 2 parts that you've got to remember, and the pattern is always this. The pattern is always you have a ball in one hand, you grab another ball, you're hiding that. Okay, you feed it into their hand. Okay, now they have whatever they think you gave them plus 1. So that's part 1. Then, as soon as they have it in their hand, keep your hand closed real tight. That's when you take the other ball. Okay, now I'm going to put this ball right here, and now I'm going to touch this in your hand, and whatever you want to do, 1, 2, 3, it's gone. Now open your hand, and there we go, you've got both. So the pattern is, you feed them a ball, and then you pretend to put one in your hand, but you're really reloading that ball for the next time. And so that's the illusion right there. Simple as that. Hope you have fun with it. God bless you.